This is an email from G. Ritchie, a high-ranking officer, addressed to all staff. I'm absolutely furious. Let me make this extremely clear. Inmate number 514233 is not an occasional visitor to custody. It is not a novelty, and it is not to be seen as such. It is a permanent resident. She is a harmless-looking female inmate in a men's prison. Our facility is the only one equipped to safely hold her. These new protocols are not guidelines or suggestions. They are commandments carved in stone by Moses himself. And anyone who fails to follow them will be immediately terminated. There may also be prosecution for culpable homicide. The next person who messes up will be completely unemployable for the rest of their miserable life. Gary's funeral is on Monday, and there's a remembrance service on Tuesday for what she did to him. Protocols for inmate 514233 are chilling. She's kept in cell 7 of the new solitary confinement block. If she ever needs to move, it must be to a cell denoted by a prime number, with no exceptions. No other prisoners are allowed in cells to either side or opposite hers. If a prisoner is found there, they to be put in full-body restraints and moved to treatment room 4. She's to be in her cell 24/7. Unless Dr. Roberts and Chaplain Risky both make a request in person to move her. Written or phone requests are to be reported immediately to the governor's office. When she is moved, she needs to be accompanied by Dr. Roberts, Chaplain Risky, and at least 4 armed guards. The guards must use ammunition provided by the chaplain, and ideally should practice one of the Abrahamic religions. Before she exits her cell, silver-coated cuffs provided by the chaplain must be fitted. If she refuses, activate the in-cell sprinkler system. If it's urgent and she's still non-compliant, playing "What a Friend We Have in Jesus" over the loudspeaker will severely agitate her, but make her put the cuffs on much quicker. The song must be turned off immediately after. Absolutely no living or freshly killed organic material larger than bacteria is allowed into her cell while she's in it. Her meals must consist of meat, vegetables, and fruit that have been dead for a minimum of 1 week and haven't been frozen. Nuts or seeds are never to be offered. Meals are pushed under her door with a silver-tipped pole. If she ever expresses a wish to kill herself, she's to be encouraged to do so and can be provided with no more than 6 feet of rope. No attempts to prevent her from harming herself are to be made, because she's impervious to significant harm and cannot die. She's never to be given books, paper, or any writing implement. If you find her writing on her cell walls with her own blood or fecal matter, do not attempt to read it. Activate the sprinkler system and call the Specialist Decontamination Crew, SDC. Her cell can only be cleaned when she's in a treatment area, after the sprinkler system has run for at least 10 minutes. SDC handles cleaning. No one else is to enter. She'll try to persuade you to release her, claiming a loved one is in danger and she can help. She can be extremely convincing, but you must remember she's lying. You, the guard, were hand-picked for this assignment because you have no living family and are not married and have no children. If she tries to place fictitious memories in your head, withdraw immediately and report to the chaplain's office. After a recent escape attempt, additional measures were implemented. Verbal communication with her is now forbidden under any circumstances. All guards are provided with industrial-grade ear protection, and additional soundproofing was installed in her cell. By royal decree of Her Majesty Elizabeth II, all matters relating to 514233 are exempt from investigation by the Independent Monitoring Board. Anyone claiming to be from the IMB and inquiring about her is to be immediately detained, using reasonable force if necessary, and placed in a solitary confinement room. In the event of her escape, Emergency Lockdown Procedure 616 is enacted. You are not to attempt to save colleagues or other prisoners. Severely wounded individuals encountered during this procedure should be granted a merciful execution, and their remains turned over to SDC for disposal. If she isn't subdued within 1 hour, SDC is authorized to purge the entire block. The instructions are clear. Do not let it come to that. Terminate her, collect her remains, and return them to her cell.
Governor Sean K. O'Grady sends an email acknowledging the incredibly difficult job. He warns staff not to let her appearance cloud your judgment, because inmate number 514233 is not a little girl, no matter how much she resembles one. He references the tape of what she did to Gary McMichael as proof of her true nature. Then a new initiative is announced by Governor Karen Doherty, a program by the National Offenders Management Service, NOMS, to house 2 difficult or dangerous inmates previously held in specialist psychiatric facilities in the general prison system. This is why the solitary confinement block was refurbished. A dedicated solitary team hand-picked by Doherty and a new janitorial team, the Specialist Decontamination Crew, SDC, are brought in. Soon after, inmate 00327 is transferred to the block. Protocols for him are also distributed. He is to be housed in cell 9 of the solitary confinement block and never in any other cell. His cell has a special air filtration system, and SDC maintains it. He is to be provided a vegan diet, no meat, eggs, or fresh milk, as his unique properties will affect all animal matter, rendering it inedible even to him. He enjoys medical and scientific journals, autobiographies, classical philosophy, and celebrity gossip magazines. He's given a small notepad and pencil, and any journals with his notes, due to his unique knowledge of infectious diseases, must go directly to the governor for analysis. No religious materials or images of carrion birds are allowed. He's permitted written correspondence with inmate 0001 once a month, as their friendship reduces agitation. His outgoing letters are approved by Dr. Lancaster and incoming ones by Tower. Staff are never to read letters from inmate 0001. Staff and inmates with severe or chronic health conditions must never be allowed in the same block as him, as their conditions can drastically worsen, becoming terminal in as little as 30 minutes of exposure. Solitary team members are selected for excellent health and receive monthly physical exams. He must never come into contact with animals, even an ant or a spider, due to catastrophic consequences. SDC sweeps the block before his cell door is opened. Exposed skin is never to touch any part of his body. Staff wear specially assigned PPE, and he wears a custom-fitted restraint suit for movement. If he's non-compliant, a CD of Raven calls is played over the loudspeaker to make him comply. If any staff member or inmate dies while inside the facility, their remains are collected by SDC immediately. Inmate 00327 can sense or predict approaching death, even from across the facility. All deaths are treated as a potential reanimation incident, and emergency lockdown procedure 1347 is enacted. Pregnant women are never permitted to enter any facility housing him. A note from Tower Command warns that despite his friendly demeanor, he is the most dangerous individual to ever set foot inside your facility. He will do everything to escape and bears the scars of uncountable failed executions, all of which were warranted. He has been incarcerated for over 2 centuries.
David Keene, the solitary confinement team leader, expresses concern about the SDC staff who are creeping out the team in their hazmat suits. Governor Doherty reveals that all SDC staff came from Tower, and that Tower gets pissy if you talk about inmate 00327 too much. She suggests they discuss such concerns in person. Next, Governor Frank McNally announces the arrival of a new resident, inmate number 00001, later that morning. He expects a smooth transition and wants noms to be kissing our asses at the next inspection. He tells staff to go to SDC with any problems until he gets back from golfing, as he'll be down to see the little lady himself that afternoon. The protocols for inmate 00001 are even more severe. She's held in a specially constructed cell 2 with all metal components and concrete strengthened by iron. It has extensive soundproofing. For cleaning, she's transferred from her cell to a mobile iron cage wearing full-body restraints, accompanied by 2 guards armed with portable thermic lances. SDC carries out the cleaning. She requires a live diet, 1 rabbit daily and captured vermin as a reward for compliance. She's permitted written correspondence with inmate 00327 once a month. Her letters are sent to Tower for approval. No other contact with former Tower inmates is allowed. With the exception of SDC and Tower operatives, no male staff are permitted to enter the solitary confinement block. While she can affect females, her known victims were exclusively male. Male presence challenges her and increases escape attempts. Real-time surveillance is carried out 24/7 with discrete audio-visual recording devices. If she seems to disappear, switch cameras to image intensification mode, as she's invisible to infrared. She's likely taken an animal form, preferring a black cat, but also known to appear as a rat, large dog, a horned goat, or hooded crow. Most often, she appears as a strikingly beautiful red-haired woman, sometimes with extensive Pictish tattoos, but her true form is more animalistic in nature. All audio recordings are sent to Tower daily. She generally speaks Scots Gaelic, but is fluent in English, Latin, Norwegian, and Pictish. If she speaks a language you don't recognize, immediately mute the live audio feed, as hearing it can cause severe anxiety and paranoia. She's one of a handful of known living creatures who still speak this language. She's never to be exposed to sunlight, including indirect exposure, as it allows her to enter an ethereal form, making imprisonment impossible. All previous successful escapes were due to sunlight. Therefore, she's never held in any area with windows or outside access. She's never to be held in the same facility as inmate 0. Tower discovered that Zero's presence amplifies the abilities of all high-dependency inmates, especially inmate 00001. It's theorized that inmate 00001 is Zero's biological offspring, though this can't be confirmed. HMP Redacted was chosen because it's the farthest establishment from Tower's main facility. If she becomes loose, emergency lockdown procedure 1669 is enacted. All doors and windows into the solitary block have iron handles, hinges, and fixings to slow her down, allowing SDC to intercept her with thermal weaponry. If a successful termination method is discovered, she is to be executed immediately. Tower believes Zero knows the methods required to terminate all high-dependency inmates and is actively trying to extract this information.
An email from Tower to Governor McNally confirms inmate 00001 transfer is commencing. McNally is to greet a Tower operative and take possession of her incredibly extensive file. Governor McNally, however, ignores this instruction and rushes back to the prison, furious that no one called him, declaring, "No one tells me where I'm allowed to go in my prison." Tragically, shortly after, an email from Tower Command reports that inmate 00001, also referred to as inmate 91188 in this context, has escaped from HMP Redacted, and Governor McNally is now deceased. Tower staff are put on maximum alert due to the consequences if she were to enter their facility. The source then reveals the protocols for inmate 0, the most terrifying prisoner of all, who remains at Tower. She is to remain in her cell indefinitely, which is reinforced to withstand heat. 0 must wear a bridle at all times and is not permitted to speak because exposure to the language of paradise causes catastrophic and irreversible psychological damage. If her bridle is damaged, emergency lockdown procedure 5225 is enacted. Her cell is maintained at 80 degrees Celsius. If she becomes agitated, the temperature can be increased to 1250 degrees Celsius. If she removes her bridle, it goes up to 3422 degrees. These extreme temperatures will not cause her long-term harm. 0 is not to be fed, as her imprisonment is for containment, study, and ongoing punishment as per agreement with the Vatican. She is to assist in locating unusual individuals. 0 is responsible for the existence of all high-dependency prisoners, either indirectly through historical actions or directly through parentage. She is encouraged to write their names, although she often claims to not know them. This is a lie, as she knows the names of all things. Voluntary inmate 1487 locates them, and Tower or affiliates apprehend them. If 0 becomes pregnant, emergency lockdown procedure 661705 is immediately enacted. Her pregnancies are spontaneous. All offspring are to be immediately removed from her cell and destroyed. Those that cannot be destroyed are placed in extreme pressure containment units and buried at a redacted oceanic facility.
Command notes that staff experience significant distress during this procedure, but warns that all of her offspring are abominations, regardless of how human they appear. Affiliate organizations are never allowed access to Zero. Norwegian affiliates, however, can access her files to prepare a backup facility should Tower be compromised. If Zero escapes her cell, the Catastrophic Event Procedure, CEP, is enacted, and Vatican operatives take custody and transfer her to the Norwegian facility. If Zero births a non-humanoid offspring, the Apocalyptic Event Procedure is enacted, and staff are advised to pray for forgiveness. The situation at Tower quickly deteriorates. Automated emails confirm that Emergency Lockdown Procedure 661705 for Zero's pregnancy has been enacted. Another email orders all staff to immediately read Operative Blake's report, stating that SDC members guarding voluntary inmates are being dispatched to the Vatican, and all documents relating to Zero's pregnancies are to be collected. Finally, an automated email from Tower Command declares that the Catastrophic Event Procedure has been enacted, and extraction is not an option. May God have mercy on them.